In exercise number 4, we're going to be taking a look at descending chromatic embellishments of basic, minor, and major triads. The sheet music for this lesson and all my other lessons is available for download on my website at tjjazzpiano.com. If you haven't watched the previous 3 exercises from this series, I strongly suggest that you do so before continuing with this lesson. So by now you've become pretty familiar with the 4 steps we've been using to learn these exercises in all 12 keys. I'm going to give you a slight alteration of steps 2, 3, and 4 for those of you that are struggling a little bit with hearing the intervals from each 2-5 going up a 4th to the next key. So part 1 of practicing this exercise is still going to be the same as the previous exercises we've looked at. So the only difference this week is we're descending through the triads instead of ascending. So last week when we were looking at a 2-5, let's say in the key of C, D minor 7, G7, we started on the root and approached it by a half step below. Then we hit the 3rd. Same thing happens over the G7. Now if we do the opposite of this, approaching the root from a half step above, we hit the root first, then we hit the 5th because it's the next consecutive chord tone. Same thing happens on the G7. Resolving to the 5th, in the key of F, root, 5th, and then root 5th again. Okay? So for this part of the exercise, just play through it in all 12 keys slowly with the metronome like we've done before. So for part 2, what's going to change is we're actually going to play the voicing and try to hear the root of each chord in our head before we start singing. So in the key of C, we have our D minor chord. I really try to tune in and hear this lowest note of the voicing before you play the note in your right hand. Da. And then if you go up a half step in your voice, da, 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 da. Let's go to our next key. So G minor is the 2 in the key of F. Da, up a half step, da, 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 da. Okay, so for the 3rd step, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to be ghosting the notes in our right hand instead of playing them. So I'm really listening for that root of the D minor chord. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Now practicing the exercise this way is a great way to work on pitch recognition. And it's going to be more of a challenge than just picking out a single note because we're playing multiple notes at the same time. You're hearing either the root in the 7th or the root in the 3rd. You have to be able to hear that lower note to be able to sing the pitches correctly. So the 4th step is going to be the biggest challenge because we're not going to be able to use our instrument. And we're going to have to be able to really hear the tritone interval. And the reason for that is the next note of each key center is a tritone away, and let me show you what I mean. So in the key of C, D minor, G7, we have. The next note we're going to want to play in the key of F is a tritone away from the note we just played. So we're going to have to be able to hear that interval independent of our instrument. Da, 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 da. Now let's try to hear that tritone. Da, 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 da. Tritone here. Da, 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 da. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments by leaving a comment below or contacting me via email on my website, tjjazzpiano.com.